4 soldiers were killed in a gun battle of up to an hour that broke out when militants attacked the main gate of the palace in the capital Sana'a, a security source said. Sana'a was in lockdown after the gunfight, with checkpoints set up at all the main entrances into the capital. And there was no immediate reaction from any senior Yemeni officials on the attack. State news agency Saba published a brief statement saying 3 security personnel were killed when a terrorist group attacked their patrol vehicle. An explosion was later heard near a building used by the government's intelligence services in another district of the city, residents told Reuters. There was no immediate word on the cause of the blast. And in the south, Defense Minister Mohammed Nasser Ahmad escaped an assassination bid by suspected al-Qaeda gunmen who attacked his motorcade in the province of Shabwa. And the Defense Minister's website later said the shots heard near Ahmad's convoy were celebratory gunfire. And the violence capped a turbulent few days both for Yemen, a country Washington sees as one of the main battlefields in its global campaign against Islamist militants, and for its Western allies. And a French security agent working for the European Union was shot dead in the capital on Monday. Security forces staged raids on suspected militants across the capital on Wednesday and shot dead the man they said was responsible for the Frenchman's killing and for a number of other attacks on Westerners. And citing recent attacks against Western interests in Yemen, the United States closed its embassy in Sana'a to the public. And the New York Times reported on Friday that 2 weeks ago, a United States Special Operations Commando and a CIA officer shot and killed 2 armed Yemeni civilians who tried to kidnap them in a barber shop in Sana'a. And the paper, quoting 2 U.S. senior officials, said the 2 Americans were whisked out of the country just days after the shooting, with the blessing of the Yemeni government. And Yemeni security forces also arrested 2 Frenchmen believed to be members of an al-Qaeda cell in Yemen, an official security source told Reuters on Friday. Paris confirmed that 2 of its citizens had been detained. And since late April the government has stepped up its campaign against the Yemeni group considered al-Qaeda's most active unit, al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, ACAP, driving it from some of its strongholds in the south. And airstrikes and the push followed airstrikes against ACAP in April that the government said had killed at least 55 militants, the biggest against al-Qaeda since at least 2012. And the militants have claimed attempted bombings of Western airliners and carried out dozens of bombing suicide attacks and commando-style raids against military installations, government facilities and foreign nationals. And Saudi Arabia also watches ACAP with concern, since the branch was founded by citizens of both countries and has sworn to bring down the ruling Al Saud family. And in a separate incident on Friday, 4 soldiers were killed in an ambush by suspected al-Qaeda fighters in the central province of Al-Baida, tribal sources told Reuters. And in Sana'a, a security source said a vehicle carrying a number of armed militants suspected to be linked to al-Qaeda attacked the main gate of the palace. And 4 soldiers at the palace were killed by the militants, the source said. And there was a gunfight that lasted about 45 minutes and then a few of the militants managed to escape with their car, the source said, adding that there were casualties on both sides. And security forces in the area were looking for the militants in a nearby public garden, the source said. And the insurgents have posed a challenge to government efforts to restore stability to the U.S. allied country since veteran President Ali Abdullah Saleh was forced to step down in 2012 after months of pro-democracy protests. And Western countries fear that further destabilization in Yemen, whose government is also being challenged by separatists in the south and unrest in the north, could give more space to ACAP to plot attacks on international targets. And additional reporting by Yara Bayoumi, writing by Amena Bakr and William McLean, editing by Robin Pomeroy.